Danite Radio.
Welcome to the Counter Revolution.
I'm way out of practice. We're rolling.
Oh, does that mean we're going?
That's exactly what that means.
Sweet.
Welcome back
To our first podcast.
Yeah, no kidding. That's what it feels like. Oh, welcome back to season 2 of Danite Radio.
Bingo, bango.
Oh, shoot. How you been, brother?
Good, you?
Oh, I've been all right.
Nice.
All right. Why have we been absent so long?
Rock Dog can't keep his wife happy. Makes him sad, boy.
Okay. Well, what I can't say it. Okay. Whatever you want to say, bro.
Hey, our listeners expect the truth, bro. I don't hold nothing back.
They're going to get it whether they like it or not.
Yep.
Well, right on, man. I hope things look up for you in the future.
Me too. I'm starting my own Me Too movement over that one.
That's what I like to hear.
Me too.
That's what I like to hear. What's new with you?
Nothing. Doing some shadow work with old Teal Swan.
I don't know what that means.
Torturing my inner child.
Oh.
You know.
Oh, right. We talked about this.
He's perfectly happy where he's at, and I go in there and bug him.
Your inner child is?
Mm-hmm. Get away from me, bro!
Look at you trying to get mentally healthy. I'm so proud of you. Oh,
Yep.
shoot. Well.
What about you? What's new with you?
Nothing much, man.
I take it you got a new girl. That's why we're doing this podcast. You got somebody to impress.
Yeah, you know what? This one's an award winner for the ladies. Every single one I've ever showed it to is like, man, I wish I could marry that dude. I wish I could marry that freaking moron.
That chauvinist.
You know who loves these, bro?
Who?
My friends. Men that I meet, mostly. Male friends.
Yeah.
I had this realization recently, actually. If we did make it big, had a lot of fans, they would exclusively be men. And our number one fan, Pretty Too Dope.
I think it'd be exclusively men and super cool chicks.
Pretty Too Dope and her mom.
The rest of them are lame.
True.
You know?
True enough.
If you don't like this podcast and you're a female, you're a square. You're not cool. You're not one of the cool chicks. Just stop listening now. We don't need you.
Yeah, we don't. We don't, because...
Keep your judgments to yourself. Make your little sandwiches. Bring them in here, and then leave.
I guess you've been listening to the old Top G recently, huh?
No.
Oh, shoot. Top G.
I didn't tell her to take off her clothes and bring me a sandwich. I just said, bring me a sandwich. And I didn't pull a gun and tell her to bring me a sandwich, you know?
Fair point. Fair point.
I didn't make her a sex slave and then tell her to bring me a sandwich. I just said, bring me a sandwich.
Alleged sex slave. It's politically correct.
Yeah.
I think. I don't remember.
Alleged?
Saying alleged sex slave, yeah.
I think that's just so you don't get sued. Does that make it politically correct?
I don't know. That's the problem. It would have been politically correct if it had been like a woman that was doing all that.
You got to talk louder.
Oh,
I
yeah?
love how you
Probably.
yell at me to get closer to my mic before it starts. Then I pull it closer and I'm close and then you back away.
I back away and whisper.
Yeah.
Sorry if I was quiet for a minute there. We're out of practice. It's been a while.
I think
Yeah.
alleged just stops you from getting sued. But I'm positive the Top G won't be coming to sue us. I bet he doesn't even hear this podcast.
You might be right. You might be right. What do you think about old Top G scandal? So it's a little bit in the past. The 24-hour news cycle has made it obsolete, but I'm curious what you think. What's your take on that chauvinist?
I know that this whole podcast is based on things that are irrelevant to my life, but that's my feeling towards
Andrew Tate.
whether Andrew Tate is a human trafficker or not. But I have my suspicions as to whether or not he actually is. And of course, I always lean on the side of conspiracy.
Sure.
You know?
Sure.
Because I'm naturally that person. So, I don't know. I would be shocked if anything comes of it. If anything actually comes of it.
I'm certainly in the same boat there. I'd be shocked if anything comes of it, for sure.
But I also wouldn't be surprised if, like, pessimist side of me, he's staging this whole thing so that he can look like some
Victim.
anti-establishment hero, right?
Sure.
Because he's even been saying, like, first they cancel you, then they arrest you, then they kill you, you know?
Dude, that might be the best conspiracy theory I've heard
And he's
about all this.
getting loaded, bro, off of his
Hustlers University.
Hustlers University. So, I don't know. I don't know why you need Hustlers University, though, if you own casinos. So, maybe that is just out of the goodness of his heart. It's only $40 a month. But I think I've seen the math on it. It does like $10 million a month or something.
Yeah, it's obscene.
So,
do you know about Hustlers University? Do you know what they do?
yeah. Do you?
No, I'm asking.
They,
My understanding is it's like basically multi-level marketing scheme.
no, it's
No?
nothing. It could be, but the vibe I got, and I've read some stuff on it, but it's just like he teaches you how to make money on the internet, right?
Oh.
And
okay.
it connects you with people that already know
Make
what they're
money on the
doing.
internet.
I don't get the vibe it's multi-level marketing, and he makes a good point when he talks about it. Is he retains students in Hustlers University? He's not like his numbers are steady. He doesn't get a bunch of people to sign on and then they all quit.
Oh,
Like
sure.
it made $10 million a month when it first started, and it's still making $10 million.
So
you know,
yeah, and people are sticking around.
but like I've heard of a lot of the skills he talks about as far as making money on the internet. Like, what's that marketing called that you do online?
Digital media marketing,
No,
influencing.
it's like influencing, but I can't remember. But there's a lot of stuff that he talks about. And I think he even teaches you how to run webcam girls.
Oh, interesting.
I don't know, but like I've seen a few shorts of him like talking about the strategy to running your own webcam girls and stuff like that.
I think the most important thing that he ever taught was how to get women.
Dude, all right.
Oh, are we getting into this?
I wasn't sure if I should bring it up, but I'm going to. All right.
Sure.
I've got one wife that I can barely keep happy, right? And if you're listening, sweetie, that's how I've felt the past couple months, 9 months.
Do you think she doesn't already know that?
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm just being honest. I don't
Sure.
want her to think I'm talking shit, talking smack. But Andrew Tate has like 7 girlfriends that he seems to keep fairly happy. And all he does is tell them what the hell to do and give them a bunch of money. So maybe he knows something I don't know. Just saying.
I wonder if the key there is a bunch of money.
It could be.
Yeah.
It probably is, but
Probably doesn't hurt.
I don't know. There are certain men who seem to treat women like crap,
Nice save.
And then
No one had any idea what you were going to say.
seem to be rolling in women who are fiercely loyal to him, you know?
Sure.
And maybe, I don't know. Maybe that's just like certain women and certain men. I don't know. I just know I don't have the male-female relationship all figured out. It doesn't seem to be going that well for me. However, it does seem to be going well for him. And I'm not saying like I'm going to start a harem, you know, because I couldn't,
not
I
exactly
couldn't
what interests
afford
you.
one anyways. But, dude, look at, not to compare the two, but look at the guy that ironically murdered the Sharon Tate. Charles Manson.
Oh,
He
yeah,
didn't
okay.
have any money, and he had him a harem. You know, I don't know what I'm getting at. I just know, like everyone, like it's fascinating to me for people in the
Dude, I
West.
had no idea what you were driving at, and I was here for the whole ride. That was awesome.
It's fascinating for me for people in the West to talk smack on Andrew Tate. When come on. When, like, what is the... I forgot my point. So, it's interesting for me, for people to criticize Andrew Tate, right? Because it's easy to do. He talks about, like, some of the stuff he says is, like, pretty manipulative. I've never heard him call for violence against any woman. But he's pretty, like... He said some stuff that I found weird.
Sure.
I wouldn't say troubling because I'm not the kind of person that says troubling because it's his relationship and his business, right?
Sure.
But weird. And I don't think he's a violent against women. But it's interesting for me. Of all the people I've heard talk smack on Andrew Tate, like, it's like, where's your family at? You know? Like, especially the Paul brothers. Like,
yeah.
Where's your family at? What are you talking about? He's got a bunch of kids with a bunch of women. What do you care? And then there's, like, other people that aren't famous that talk smack on him, and it's like, all right, well, your relationship's going about as good as mine is, so I don't know what you're talking about. Why are you judging when he seems to be far more successful than you are? And maybe not spiritually, but he recently joined the Muslim faith, which, you know, that's like, of course he's going to join the church that lets him have more than one wife, you know? But I don't know. It just is amazing to me, like, when we talk crap on people that seem to have their lives put together, you know? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm barely making it here. I don't even know what I'm doing here.
And it's like,
It's like,
I don't know how it's put together. Like, I don't really understand that part of it, but it is some form put together.
sure.
Yeah.
He drives a Bugatti. You know? I don't know.
Only if you ask him, he drives a Bugatti.
I don't know, you know? It's just like, and I'm not saying, you know, maybe he's like the unhappiest person on the planet. Maybe he cries himself to sleep. Maybe he's Patrick Swayze and Donnie Darko. Have you seen Donnie Darko?
No.
I think it's Patrick Swayze. Yeah, it's Patrick Swayze. He plays a public speaker, like a motivational speaker who's a total jerk, but then turns out he has like a kiddie porn collection and, you know, cries himself to sleep every night over it.
This says it's Jake Gyllenhaal. in
Yeah,
Donnie
Jake
Darko.
Gyllenhaal's the main character.
Oh.
Patrick Swayze's the side antagonist.
Oh, and he cries himself to sleep at night?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
But I don't know, bro. I just I get that, you know, to live Andrew Tate's life would be weird. Like, would be hard. I don't know how you come down on your morals when you're that rich and you've discovered this way to control the women in your life. But at the same time, who the heck am I to judge, bro? You know, yeah. My life's not any more figured out than his seems to be. His seems to be more figured out.
It's also like an interesting thing. Everybody hates on him so much. And the real genius of his business is that he's just selling, like, scandal, basically. He's selling relevance. And so it's like, the more you talk about him, the more power he has, really. Am I wrong in thinking that?
Possibly. I don't know. Maybe that's what he's selling. In my mind, he's a crass Jordan Peterson. What does he say to men other than go to the gym, shut up, get rich, forget about that chick that broke your heart, you know?
Sure.
Anything that's why I have such a hard time criticizing him, because anything that tells a man to shut the F up and be a man and work hard and get jacked, I'm all about, you know? Sure. It's like, okay, yeah.
That's never necessarily a bad message.
Yeah, and so I don't know. I think that's the genius of it, is that he speaks truth to half the population of the planet.
Maybe.
The truth being, look, these chicks don't care about your feelings. They pretend to, but they don't. They don't. They don't want to hear it. What they want is a man with money and broad shoulders that can beat the shit out of the guy next to him. Right?
Interesting.
And that's not untrue. Jordan Peterson would say it, you should be a monster, but you should control yourself, right? That was a dope impression.
That was horrible. That was so bad, dude.
But seriously,
that was so bad, eh?
That's the same message. You should be a monster, control yourself. You should be able to beat the shit out of that guy. And if he crosses the line, then do it. That's the only difference at Andrew Tate. Andrew Tate actually tells you, if there's a line and a man crosses it, you have the right to put him back over it physically. Which I think Jordan Peterson implies but never says.
Sure.
And I don't have a problem with that. I don't.
It's an interesting conversation to have for sure. I'm open to that, but.
But maybe, I mean, you know, it helps that he's funny and charismatic and drives a Bugatti and has all these arguments with feminists and makes them look retarded. But I think the reason he sells is because
on some level,
telling men to work their asses off and get broad shoulders and take martial arts has been a great business model for Joe Rogan. It's been a great business model for Jocko Willink. It's been a great business model for countless men. And now Tate does it. The only difference is Tate comes and says, yeah, and I don't let my wife tell me what to do either, you know? And now he's a bad guy. Now he's a human trafficker because he's like, oh yeah, that chick I got at home, she don't tell me what to do either.
Yeah, that is an interesting distinction. Those other guys you named are all, you know, one-woman men as far as we know.
Seem to be happily married, you know.
One-woman men as far as we know.
But I'd be shocked if Jocko's wife tells him what to do very often either, you know.
You mean,
and I'm
Jocko, who's never home?
Positive Joe Rogan's wife doesn't tell him what to do either. I read somewhere that she has like control over the house, like she controls all the decorating. But notice he's always out with his buddies smoking weed and doing mushrooms and stuff. Like, how much bossiness can there be? The difference is Rogan doesn't say it, right?
Sure. Also, all the touring, the time away from home, like, how much time is there for her to tell him what to do? And when he is home, probably not that bad. She's
when he is
just
home,
happy to see
he
him.
Brings home $100 million deals with Spotify. So yeah,
and that's only the one that's been disclosed.
Definitely,
that's only his deal that's been disclosed, bro.
Yeah. Oh, sorry about your stupid table. What are we at, bro?
You're not going to believe this. 19
6
minutes.
Nice.
Oh, we're bad at this, bro. We're out of practice.
I don't know. We did all right with the Tate stuff. Now
Yeah.
everyone knows how I feel.
Now everyone knows what a misogynist you are.
I thoroughly enjoy pretending to be someone that worships the top G. But if the top G influenced my line of thinking, my life would look very different, right? I don't,
Sure.
as of right now.
Sure.
But I don't hate what he has to say, you know? And I think that, like, the proof is in the pudding in that, like, I've got 2 teenage sons that hit the gym every day, you know? And whether I have to take them or whether they do it at school, I stress the importance of
Physical fitness.
it's not a bad thing to have really broad shoulders and look like Andrew Tate with your shirt off, you know?
Yeah.
It's not. So but I didn't need Andrew Tate to tell me that. I mean, I've been encouraging that in my sons for
Years.
since before I even knew who the Tate dog was.
Yeah.
Besides, there's a real top G, dude. And it's not Andrew Tate.
Oh, who is it?
It's Josh.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
That's a deep cut for our closest fans.
Our closest
If you got my
fans.
phone number, you can ask about Josh if you want.
And we're not putting the phone number in the bio.
Heck
You
no.
have to already have it.
You have to already have it.
I guess you're talking to Cody this week, huh?
No, Cody don't listen no more. I'm sure I'd be shocked if we got any views on this thing.
We got 2, bro. We'll get 2. What else is going on? What else is going on in the world?
I don't know, bro.
Anything noteworthy?
Russia and Ukraine.
Oh, is that still happening?
Mm-hmm.
What's happening over there?
Dude, that guy on Joe Rogan, that expert said it's looking like a 20-year war or something.
Ukraine's
He's
just
right.
that much better than
No.
Russia?
Here's how Russia fights wars. They go in, they lose 500,000 people, and then winner wins the war for them. The difference this time is Ukraine knows how to fight in the winter because they happen to live in the same area.
Because they happen to
Yeah.
be a part of Russia.
Yeah. I'd be shocked if Ukraine's like, well, it's January, let's invade Russia. And if they do, then they're as dumb as everyone else that tries it. Napoleon, Hitler.
Yeah. It's the same reason that they've been at war with the Finns for so long.
Yeah, the Finns know how to fight in the winter.
Finns are like, yo, bro,
Yeah.
we don't do
Hey,
that in January.
It's cold here too, and we can actually hit you guys with our rifles. So what are we doing?
Let's just wait till spring.
We actually know how to fight.
There is something to that. So I honestly haven't heard a word about Russia, Ukraine in the last, I don't know, 6 months maybe.
No, I get like some shorts. There's some pretty cool guys that do like shorts on YouTube about like new weapon systems going into Ukraine.
Oh,
It
cool.
shows like one guy trying to modify it like a landmine into something they can drop from a drone. So he's like pounding on the top of it with a hammer. It was weird, dude.
What?
You do what you got to do, I guess, to get the Russians out of your country.
So he's like pounding it down in so that when you
Like,
drop it,
I
it
think it's like
pops
he's
up or what?
pounding a pressure switch onto it. I don't know. It was weird, dude.
Interesting.
Or taking the pressure switch off. I don't know. It was weird. But they do lots of weird stuff with drones in Ukraine. Have you seen any of that?
Mm-mm.
They're spying. Like, they'll just put their iPhone on the drones and just, like, fly over and see where the Russians are and then fly it back. But then they'll put hand grenades on them and mortars and stuff and just drop them on guys. And then even, like, dropping medical supplies to guys on your own side and stuff. But
We're living in the future is what you're saying.
yeah, obviously. Dude, the Ukrainians have entirely made tank warfare, like, obsolete with javelins. Like, Ukraine's is beating the Russian army without a single tank.
How are they?
And Russia has tons of
beating
tanks because they have javelins now. It's just like one guy can take out an entire tank with one missile that he fires off his shoulder.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, I thought I turned that off.
You did not. You're popular today, bro.
Yep.
Right about podcast time. Dude, if this was live, I'd be like, oh, your wife's mad, bro.
Yeah.
Just kidding. Just kidding. That's interesting. I hadn't heard that before.
Yeah, it's interesting, the advances in warfare that aren't, I don't know, by now we were supposed to have like robots fighting for us and stuff, but I don't think that'll ever happen.
I think potentially the United States should get troops on the ground in Ukraine.
I don't.
Why not?
Because.
I also don't think that was a joke.
Well,
you know
the
why?
thing is like...
Because I don't want to go to Ukraine.
That's like the sentiment among my neighbors. But it's like, they're doing fine. What the hell do they need us for? All we'll do is get in their way. We'll just crash our helicopters into each other and stuff.
No, we'll invade and win and then hold it for 20 years and then dip and give the Russians a bunch of sweet tech, bro. If
we never won in Afghanistan, bro.
How do you mean we never won?
We never won. You say we went in and won, but we didn't win.
I guess, how are you defining win? We were holding a bunch of cities, a bunch of territory there.
Okay.
I guess.
Here's how we won in Japan. We left Japan, and Japan became one of the freest, most prosperous countries in the world.
Sure.
Here's how we won in Germany. We went in, we won, and then Germany became one of the freest, most prosperous countries in the world.
Okay, I'm open to that.
You know what we did in Afghanistan? The same thing every other empire that's gone into Afghanistan has done. We went in, and we killed our empire in Afghanistan at $10 billion a day.
Sure. Sure, I get that.
Afghanistan finally broke the British Empire. Afghanistan broke every empire that's gone in there.
Because they can just hold out
the
forever.
Soviet Empire? Yeah, because they're willing to hold out forever. I believe that any country can do that, but you got to be willing to do what the Afghanis do. You know?
They're freedom-loving people.
Yeah. You got to be able to,
They're like, look, we got a system here. It's a warlord system, and we like it, so.
Yeah, you got to love freedom enough to.
Sure.
Live in squalor, you know? Risk your child dying early of a disease. But even like Andrew Tate brought up the point of these men in Afghanistan are fighting to keep their women submissive. Because look what happens to the West when women start getting...
That's
and maybe there's no causation there. Maybe the degradation of the West has nothing to do with feminism. But the evidence is strong. And if you're a goat herder living in a cave and all you hear from the West is they're putting trannies in front of 11-year-olds to read to them and strip for them, you might be like, that's what happens? You free your women and it turns into gay pride parades and the downgrading of your society?
You can certainly see how they would jump to that conclusion. For sure. For sure you can
I'm not saying that that's true. I'm just saying that it could be taken that way.
And you can see how an Afghani man looking at everything he knows about the West could correlate those as one leads to the other.
Right.
Where correlation is causation in his brain.
Sure.
Yeah. I'm with you there. I meant win as in win a bunch of battles. Not necessarily that we won the war in Afghanistan. We won a bunch of battles, held a lot of territory. That's what I meant by win. It was more a commentary on the way that we left Afghanistan than the way that we
Sure.
went to war in Afghanistan. So.
And maybe, there was a different guy in charge. It could have gone another way, but it really couldn't have gone.
Leaving Afghanistan couldn't have
Yeah,
gone
maybe
another way?
we could have destroyed some of that military equipment or got it out of there. We could have, stuck around and made sure everyone knew we were leaving, but the way we kind of caught everyone by surprise could have been changed, but at the same time, there's never been a graceful leave from Afghanistan.
Yeah. A
graceful withdraw from Afghanistan.
As far as an America First mentality goes, I don't know if necessarily leaving Afghanistan was a bad thing from an American point of view.
Agreed.
I don't think it was great for, who was it that was on our side? The Afghanis? Are they the ones that were on our side?
Yeah. The
Talibans that...
The Afghanis that weren't on the side of the Taliban, yeah, we screwed our allies over, for sure.
Yeah.
But we could have left
also,
Afghanistan and got them out of there before.
Yeah, yeah. And if you look at it from another way, you know who it was great for? The Taliban.
Sure.
They love that we left Afghanistan, so.
Think about it.
It was good for 2 out of the 3 parties involved.
So, here's what happened. This is probably all planned by the Taliban if they're smart. How could they have played it better? Because all the Soviet gear that they got from the Soviets being there was getting old and run down. So, blow up a few buildings in the U.S. U.S. comes storming in and then leaves you, what was it, $100 million worth of...
Yeah, that's an interesting point. If you got the patience to endure 20 years in squalor,
sure,
it might be a good way to get some freaking sweet equipment.
That's not a terrible investment. 20 years for $100 million. How much is that a year? 5 million. Yeah, $5 million a year. Good job.
Yeah.
Because your soldiers all volunteer. You're not paying anybody. They're all there to fight for God.
They're all freedom fighters.
Good job.
That's an interesting take. The conspiracy-minded part of you is making some good points.
The heartbreaking part about it is the investment in blood and money
of American lives.
Yeah. No. The heartbreakingest part is that we didn't learn our lesson.
In Vietnam? Or learn our lesson where?
Sure, in Vietnam, but we didn't learn our lesson from this one either. It won't be hard for my neighbors are all calling for us to put boots on the ground in Ukraine, even though the Ukrainians are doing fine.
Yeah.
We haven't learned anything. Not to mention the COVID thing where everyone's like, put on your mask. My wife went to the federal building yesterday, and they still put a mask in her hand and made her wear it around the whole federal building.
What? Oh, my gosh. Are you serious?
Yeah. And
COVID was over.
We just trust these politicians. We're like, okay, yeah, 20 years and yeah, let's go in there. We can beat these goat farmers in 6 months.
It's like, you can't.
20 years later.
You know who was at more of a disadvantage than the goat farmers in Afghanistan? The freaking Viet Cong, dude.
Yeah.
And you know...
Nah.
You don't think
they had China on their side, dude. China was funding them pretty good, I think.
Didn't the Taliban have Russia on their side?
No. The Taliban and Russia... Taliban was invented by the U.S. to fight Russia during the Russian occupation. I'm sure that they sold them weapons, but I just don't think it was as... And I don't know. I honestly, with the Viet Cong, I don't know that much about Vietnam, but...
It seemed like the main advantage in Vietnam was that the Viet Cong knew the jungle, and the Americans didn't.
Oh, yeah. Kind of like Afghanistan and the mountains. Weird.
Yeah.
Huh.
And
the similarities.
Yeah, I guess I don't. Maybe they were the exact same. Maybe it's the exact same situation, and we're like, hey, let's try again.
I think the only difference is probably... I don't think the U.S. funded the Viet Cong up until like 2 years before we decided to go to war with them.
We might have. You never know.
Who knows? Who knows?
We never freaking know.
But
oh my gosh.
Dude, like we don't learn. We don't learn. You're right. Vietnam, we don't learn.
And now we're doing the same. There's talk of doing the same thing in Ukraine.
There is public outcry to do the same thing in Ukraine. It's not even politicians calling for it as much as my neighbors. Like, I think we should help them out. We have an obligation. What?
What obligation?
Why do we have an obligation?
Let's
First
talk
of all,
about that.
and
What obligation?
Second of all,
what obligation do we have?
The obligation of our covenant with God as spelled out in the Book of Mormon.
What?
To help the people.
They have... What?
Dude, look where our help gets us. Look at Ukraine. Ukraine had, and I don't know how it is now, but up until Zelensky took over, Ukraine had one of the most corrupt governments on the planet, all because our corrupt politicians went over there to play
chess.
Yeah, play corrupt money politics, you know? Ukraine was almost as corrupt as Mexico, both corrupted by corrupt politicians in the United States.
Money laundering in the United States.
Like, oh yeah, let's live up. Now it's time to live up to our covenant with God, even though we've been destroying these countries around us because...
Oh my gosh. You're opening up a whole new can of worms with the freaking Mexican government, dude.
Dude, that's the thing. Like, yeah, one guy in particular.
The front for money laundering in Mexico?
Yeah.
That's all we did? Just money launder there? Launder money?
Sure.
Pay for drugs?
Yeah. Our government's
super corrupt.
It's fascinating. Like, yeah, I had one guy in particular be like, "It's part of our covenant." What is that covenant called?
I have no idea.
Our national covenant. He didn't call it that. He made it sound like as we've been adopted into the tribes of Israel or something. We have to. It's our job to support the. And I didn't bring up anything like, well, that's retarded, but I didn't bring up any of the corruption that we spread around the world, but I did bring up Ukraine's doing fine. Ukraine is doing just fine, right? They've surprised the world. They are winning. They are winning.
Sure.
So that's one thing. And thing number one, if we want to shut Russia down, let's start drilling oil and selling to all their customers. Like, Germany, the United Kingdom,
Now you're talking crazy, bro.
I know. It's crazy.
Using business?
I'm
what?
An idiot.
Making money for the United States? And no, that's foolishness.
He at least agreed on that, conceded on that, but I don't think I changed his mind.
Sure.
And he's got a son of fighting age.
And he wants his son to get drafted into Ukraine? What?
I guess. I don't know.
It's the same thing as wanting your kid to go to Afghanistan.
I think that's the problem with wars like Afghanistan. Nobody sees the cost of it. They hear numbers like 10 billion a day. The human mind doesn't even know how to comprehend that.
Sure.
And then, I think we lost, 3,600 troops?
Yeah. Somewhat. I've heard numbers like that.
We've lost, like in a real war, we lose like
hundreds of thousands.
Well, we lose like 8 times that in a day sometimes,
Sure.
Or 10 times that in a day. And it's like, it's genius on the politicians' part. Look, we'll just go to war light. There won't be really any downsides for the people. I mean, some people will lose kids, but that's a very small percentage. And when they speak up about it, we'll make them look crazy.
Sure.
And then we can line our pockets with $10 billion a day through these weapons manufacturing companies and, L3, Northrop Grumman, owned by lots of nefarious characters. And then what?
The war machine moves on and on.
And then we have some dummy over in Payson, Utah, convinced that these are good things and we should do it in Ukraine too.
Oh my gosh, dude.
Will convince him to send his
Child.
19-year-old kid to die for Ukraine.
Oh my gosh. Who's to even say that Ukraine's right?
I think Ukraine's right.
Sure.
My instinct is always to side against Russia.
Sure.
But I
Let
also
me ask this.
think,
Why is it your place to say, though?
well, first of all, because there were treaties and borders, and Russia's violated those over and over and over again.
Okay.
So, and I get the whole argument for, yeah, but NATO was gonna let Ukraine in, so Russia had to attack Ukraine in order to feel safe. It's like, well, okay, but you run the risk of losing when you do that, and that's what Russia's doing right now.
So I guess the point I'm driving at, I'm not saying who's to say Ukraine's right. Russia's probably right. I'm saying who's to say either one of us,
Sure.
one of them is right.
I'm with
Maybe
you.
we should just mind our business.
Yeah, but I think the argument, because Ukraine's asking for help, is a difference. I think Ukraine would love nothing more than
fair.
if we put boots on the ground. Whereas in Afghanistan, some people were like, yeah, this is great. But most people were like, get the hell out of my country.
Yeah.
What are you doing here?
Yeah.
You know, this is where empires come to die. We'll kill you just like we've killed every other one.
We aren't scared of it.
Yeah.
We
and
are
even
not afraid.
Even our allies are like, what are you doing here? You're going to have, this is not
You're
going
gonna
to
hate it
go
here.
for you. This is
Yeah.
not going to go good for you.
Yeah, there's something to be said for that.
So, I don't know. Whatever.
Interesting. All excellent points.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Here's the
You're like, yeah, I'm a genius.
no, like, so we get like this whole, they're jealous, or like this whole, everyone just wants freedom. So we go in thinking everyone wants freedom, when the people in our country don't even really want freedom. They want freedom until you hurt their feelings, or, you know, they think that there's a threat in Afghanistan or Ukraine. Then they don't want freedom anymore. They all want freedom until, you know, one kid dies from a heroin overdose. Then they don't want freedom anymore. Or actually, it wasn't even one kid dying from a heroin overdose. It was one first lady saying, just say no to drugs. You know, everyone's favorite first lady. Starts with Nancy, rhymes with Reagan. That guy was a great president. Up until he got shot and started signing all the anti-gun legislation that had to be repealed.
You know we're going to be hearing about this later, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right.
Better president than Trump, he says. But Trump did ban bump stocks.
They all did good and bad things.
All except for one.
I don't know
Joe
where you're
Biden
going.
hasn't done anything. He just mumbles.
I mean, he got us out of Afghanistan, which we agreed objectively is good for
Thanks,
America.
buddy. Woo!
Objectively.
Little smoother next time, but we'll take it.
Was it a mess? Yes, it was. Yes, it was. But he did do that. I thought you were going to say, like, George Washington only did good things. I wasn't sure where you were going with it. So
The whole point was nobody in this country wants freedom. Like, the people in this country don't even want freedom. Why do we expect, you know, when technically, let's look at Afghanistan. How many speeding tickets do you think are given out in Afghanistan every year?
I don't know.
Okay. How many do you think are given out in this country every year?
Oh my gosh, an obscene number. Millions.
But, you know, we're freer than the Taliban, I guess. What do you think would happen if I was walking around with an AK in Afghanistan?
Nothing?
I don't know. Maybe. Maybe I'd get approached by a local gang of hoodlums. You know, like a neighborhood watch that's violent. Maybe. Sure. But here, I just get accosted by police officers saying, we got a call that you're carrying a scary gun.
Yeah.
Right? How many?
So are you arguing that Afghanistan is freer than the United States?
Oh, I 100% believe Afghanistan is freer than the United States of America.
I'm open to that. I'm open to that being the case.
You can't speak out against the Taliban. Okay, well, I'd rather be scared of like actual men than scared of the rainbow death cult that you can't speak out against here.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, also, you can't really speak out against anyone on either side at this point.
And I'll bet.
Without some kind of repercussion.
Sure.
If repercussions are what you're afraid of.
Sure.
Sure, the Taliban are violent, but you can speak out against the wrong people here and get thrown in jail, get harassed by the cops.
Dude, I'll bet.
Get kidnapped.
I'm sure there's some bad actors that are just complete psychos in the Taliban.
Sure.
And probably more so than, like, the ratio of psychos to not psychos in the Taliban is probably higher than the rest of the global population at large, right?
Sure.
I can live with that. But even a psycho doesn't really have that much of a reason to take you out, right? So there might be some sadists that will, but if you speak up against the Taliban, I bet they warn you 5 times before they murder you and your family, right? Whereas you say one thing 20 years ago in this country, and they'll take your entire living from you.
Yeah.
Right? I'll bet like the Taliban, I bet you get a warning. I bet you get like 3 scary dudes show up, be like, come on, man, you shouldn't have said that. Right? And then you're like, okay. Then the next time you say it, 5 dudes show up, right? Then the next time you say it, 5 dudes show up and beat the living piss out of you, right?
Sure.
Then the 4th time, they cut off some fingers maybe. 5th time, kill you, put your wife and daughters into slavery. All I'm saying is I bet they're a lot more reasonable with their crackdown on free speech, bro.
Maybe. I don't know. They could have taken a play out of the Soviet handbook. You never know. Speak out one time, you disappear. You get disappeared.
That's not the vibe I get, bro. That's the vibe I get from our country.
Yeah.
They're punishing people for stuff they said 20 years ago. Kevin Hart couldn't host the Golden Globes because he said if his kid ever turned gay, he'd slap him or something 10 years ago.
He said he'd bust a dollhouse on his head.
That's what I'm saying. He's a comedian.
It's not the funniest joke, but it's well structured.
Sure.
It's very well structured.
Sure.
What's he going to do? And this is stealing from Dave Chappelle a little bit. What's he going to do? Go out, buy a dollhouse, bring one home, and bust it on his gay son's head?
Taliban would laugh at that if they knew what gay was, but they don't got gays over there, you know?
Yeah, no.
No, but it's like...
No gays in Russia.
It's like, what are you... I don't know if there's more freedom here than in Afghanistan, and I would be surprised if that was the case.
Also, it was a tweet he had deleted and apologized for. This was out of line. Somebody screenshot it and said, hey, wait, he can't host the Oscars. Look what he said 8 years ago.
For sure.
It's like, dude, he told one bad joke, and it wasn't even that bad. It's well structured.
I know.
It's got the perfect amount of satire.
Louis C.K. jerked off in one plant, and they canceled him, bro. I think the Taliban would let that fly a couple times.
Dude, have you heard him talk about it?
No.
Oh, my gosh, dude.
He's funny.
It's funny.
He's like, check it out.
He's like, you know what? All of you have a thing. Now try everybody on Earth knowing what yours is.
Yeah.
Oh, it's brutal, dude. You're like, oh,
touche.
Fair enough. It's pretty good. I'll see if I can find it and send it to you.
Dude, all I'm saying, and we've talked about this before, the reason Aaron was in a federal building is because we lost my son's Social Security card, so he can't get his learner's permit. Do you think they need a learner's permit in Afghanistan? Do you think they have Social Security cards? Do you think they go wait in line for days on end and for hours on end only to not be successful in getting said things so that they can drive, so that their kid can drive a car?
Sure.
Who's got more power over the kids in Afghanistan, the government or the people? Who's got more power over the kids in the United States, the people or the government? What did I say? The power of the people in Afghanistan?
Yeah.
The people or the government?
I get the point.
Yeah.
The people have more power over the kids in Afghanistan, and the government has more power over the kids here. I get what you're saying.
sure.
Yeah, for sure. I'm open to that. All right, we got to stop there. My computer's failing on us.
What? What's wrong with it?
We're running out of storage.
Oh, boy.
So I got to delete some stuff before we
All right.
save it. Or before I upload it.
Hope you enjoyed it, folks.
Yeah, we're back. Season 2.
See ya.
See ya. Thanks and God bless. Have a great week.